Alright, before we even get into the series, guys, I love the amount of support we're seeing for mYinsanity in chat. But where's the Acer love, guys? Raise your Scarlets, raise your Jjakjis, your Paranoids, whatever you need to do. I want to see that support in chat today. But spawning in the top right corner of the map in this brand new best of 3, a Zerg player known as Acer's Paranoid. Whoop, whoop, whoop. And his opponent in the upper left, playing for mYinsanity. Let's swap that scoreboard around a little bit. He is the undefeated, the unbeatable, the godlike Terran known as Jjakji. So this is, I don't know what the map vetoes were. They did these ones a little bit more in private. So we knew what the map picks and the map vetoes were for the previous series. Unfortunately for this one, we as the audience are coming in a little bit blind, but that's totally cool because we'll see how this matchup goes. On Frost of all maps, Paranoid should be able to get a pretty decent game here on a Jjakji. Again, there's a lot of matches here that might seem a little bit one-sided, but the reality is you gotta keep in mind, these players, these teams, they're playing towards a team score, not so much like the, how do I phrase this? Not so much like an individual victory. Like, a Paranoid wins, fantastic. Obviously, coming into this series, Jjakji's going to be the favorite. For Acer, though, you know, it's about getting those team scores up. Now, they are currently leading 1-0 in the best of 5 overall team score between mYinsanity versus Acer. Jjakji, if he continues this series the way he has been playing a lot of his past cups, I mean, qualifying for IEM, playing Aces Rogue, I mean, this guy is everywhere. Our Terran player is really, I don't know. He should be able to keep a calm head and I imagine take this series. It's the next 2 series, the following ones that really have me the most interested. So if you guys haven't seen the brackets, if you're live in Twitch chat, type exclamation brackets in chat so you can see what's coming up. But Stardust versus Bly and Kane versus Nurcho are 2 series that are really, really going to be well suited to fight against one another. So we'll see how this goes. And of course, if this goes to match number 5, it'll be Nurcho versus Jjakji. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. One thing a little bit curious here out of Paranoid, I'm busy talking up about the series, I didn't watch this. He scouted vertically instead of horizontally. And for those who are like not English inclined, that means up and down versus left and right. But typically as a Zerg player, you scout horizontal locations first because of course you never know if you want to take this third base or not. I mean, realistically, horizontal spawns are crap for a Zerg player to have to deal with versus Terran. So you typically look for your worst base first. But he did scout downwards, and Paranoid's not going to find Jjakji right off the bat. Jjakji, though, once he sees this Overlord, should have a good idea where his opponent is. Yeah, now he'll know that Paranoid's here in the top right. Paranoid not quite taking those quick gases. You can play that sort of gasless build here, especially against Reapers. It's not fun. It requires a lot of skill and micro, and typically what you'll do is you'll have 4 Zerglings on the home defense with a couple of Queens, and you'll try and squeeze out 2 Zerglings from the natural to run through everything, but he's oddly rallied them towards the Reaper. A little bit curious on this choice. I'm going to try and chip away here just a little bit. Won't quite get any kills here, I imagine. Paranoid should be quick to rally back that lane. Almost loses one of them. Oop.
First blood.
And the Reaper gets on out. Paranoid, those got Queens coming out in just a second's time, so the Reaper should be kind of limited on the damage it can cause here. Might need to build, cancel a drone. Loses a drone for that too. Jjakji is the Zerg Slayer. But with 2 Reapers now on the front lines, typically you do see that second Reaper left at home to cover the expansion, but that's only because your opponent sends those 2 Lings out. Having seen all 6 Lings stay at home to defend, Jjakji was well suited to bring the other Reaper forward and be a little more aggressive. Now this is where it gets a little bit funky. 2 Reapers can eventually kill a Queen. 3 Reapers straight up kill a Queen. We've all seen it before in the past, but 2 Reapers trading out with combat drugs, disengaging, re-engaging, they will be able to eventually kill one of these Queens. But with the extra Queens coming out, typically not going to happen. You start just trying to keep these alive for the follow-up push. Their priority is no longer sniping off for units with the Reapers, but leaving them alive so they can guard the Hellions that come afterwards. I'm going to do what they can on this Queen. Like I said, you can trade, but you can't really kill. Well, trade damage for damage, I guess, in this instance. Does have to be careful. Paranoid is trying to focus down that further Reaper. But okay, they get down the cliff once more. Yeah, he sees the Queens at the front, decides not to push in. Hopefully not, hopefully no lag going on for this series either. I think these guys are both European, though. It's not like Scarlet coming from, like, North America to Europe, so hopefully Paranoid's okay. Jjakji is, of course, living in the mYinsanity house, guys. He's a really cool player. He's been there for quite some time. Him and Stardust, I would imagine, are total bros at this point, if they're not already. But here come a couple Hellions. So this is less about damage at this point. For the Hellions, you really want to keep them alive. You leave the Reapers on the front line to soak the damage, the auto attacks from the Queens, so that the Hellions, which are oddly fragile, don't take any hits. But for Jjakji, his goal right now is not to kill the Queens. I mean, if you can kill the Queen, fantastic. But typically, you want to start using it to start clearing up the creep, make sure it doesn't get out of hand. This Reaper is the boldest Reaper I've ever seen. What is happening here? Alright, that was weird to see. But, alright. Doesn't quite get any creep tumor kills, unfortunately. He's got more units rallied across the map, though. Those Hellions still following through. Back at home, Jjakji, of course, has his third command center built in base. He's getting his infrastructure up. He's perfectly fine to follow through with this game. A lot of what we're doing right now is, of course, keeping an eye on how Paranoid reacts to this. It's really important he doesn't make any mistakes. He doesn't get over-aggressive. If all of the Queens are off creep, it's really easy for Jjakji to run past him and suicide to get a bunch of drone kills with a natural, but not quite going to be the case. Almost gets this, like, this hatchery, of course, is going to outbuild the damage of Hellions, right? But just barely. Queens are trying to keep these back, but Jjakji's gotten this so low. By the time it finishes, it'll probably be at about, half health, if not a little bit less. Decides to go for a bit of a Queen kill here. Roaches are finally out there and should be able to start pushing this back. The Reaper from earlier, you might be wondering what happened to this. Why wasn't this guarding the Hellions? Goes for another scout. It's looking for the lair timing. It's looking for the gases. And for Jjakji to see no lair yet, gonna make him feel a little bit at ease, not gonna lie. Huge drone saturation here at the natural, but of course that's because he'll be transferring them over in a little bit. Does maintain a good Hellion count, but they're all incredibly low. They do need to get back home. In fact, this one's at 2 health. Ugh. But back at home, Marauders are out. No bunker down, curiously enough. A little bit, actually really worried about this. I guess he was really confident with the sort of map presence he was presenting with Hellions. Is going to repair these up. And of course, there's Roaches coming, so no free bunker to hide within. Roaches are not going to fare too well against the Marines and the Marauders. They do already have Stim Pack, and of course, the Hellions are being repaired up. They might not do bonus damage versus armored guys, but when you've got splash damage, it's still quite nice if the Roaches line up. The Hellions will still be pretty darn effective. Back across the map, though, Paranoid's not only taking his third, but taking his fourth. And what's really weird about this is the fact that he's taking his fourth towards the north. Not that this is a bad thing. Like, a lot of people think, like, oh, okay, the Terran's up here. I should never take this base. But oftentimes, you'll see Zerg players more expand towards the south rather than going for that northern base. Hellion debris does look a little bit cool. You're just going to see it rolling around in the middle of the map. But this is a little bit dangerous. So this is what is often heralded as the Star Station, the Newkirk, whatever, the ledge problem for Terran. Because Jjakji's a player who, if he's allowed to drop, is certainly going to drop. And if he comes towards the third and there's not enough Mutalisks to respond, drops, picks up, goes to the main. Well, then Paranoid has to run all the way around, respond to the main, and Jjakji just picks up and hops back down to the low ground. So we'll see if that comes into effect or not. Of course, let's not forget, there's also this scumbag cliff, where the exact same thing can happen over here. To more effect, because this is going to be within the range of the mineral lines. It's just not a fun base to take. Now, we do have bunkers actually coming up to bridge the bases here. This is a little bit odd to see. I think Jjakji's expecting a huge attack sometime soon. I mean, typically you get a bunker down for defense, right? Like this one here, but he's getting several. He's creating a second wall off. This is actually really cool. I like the supply depot wall. This is not going to stand against an attack, but if the Lings are trying to clash into it, he's not going to be able to attack from the north. Paranoid's going to be forced to attack from one angle, which Jjakji can now kind of control to an extent. One thing worth noting, though, guys, and I'm sorry I completely glared over this, the upgrades for Paranoid are so far behind. Usually a Zerg player gets to 2-2 before the Terran, and then sticks on it behind while the Terran player eventually gets to 3-3. Not at all the case. Jjakji, in fact, has already started his 2-2. 1-1's not finished, and this aggressive push doesn't have that many Banelings to meet it. This was looking pretty scary for Paranoid. If the Banelings can get those connects, maybe he holds on to this a little bit better, but there's not enough Roaches in this composition to really be that big of a threat. Kiting away from the Zerglings, focusing down the Banelings, taking literally no damage from those Banelings so far. A Widowmine even goes off on top of the Roaches, and now Paranoid's forced back with what is only Roaches to defend. This is not looking good. His third base may simply forfeit. He can't even evacuate the drones at this point. Because if he tries to run towards the south, loop-de-loops around, pulls the drones into the fight. No Banelings available. Zerglings coming in from the behind. It looks like the Spore Crawler will kill the medevac. But the damage that Paranoid took was basically his army dying and then some. Luckily, was able to clean up Jjakji's forces because Jjakji got a little bit overextended there, but he's rallied his troops. He's ready for round number 2. I like the Spine Crawlers and the Spore Crawlers over here at the fourth. It's not going to be solid defense, but it will keep the free damage from happening. Jjakji going to take a little bit of pepper here on this medevac. Retreating back to the high ground, finds a good place on the cliff. Now Paranoid's on 1-1. He can take the fight a little bit more easily with his Zerglings if he had more of them. But unfortunately, he's constantly flooding in with lower counts of units. A medevac will go down. Oh, nope. Jjakji micros it back just in the nick of time. Spinecrawler does get picked off, but there's not a lot of drones here to pick off either is the problem. Like, yeah, congratulations, Jjakji, you broke the defenses of a base that had nothing mining for it, right? Like, it's a consolation prize. Paranoid's still in this game. He's got Mutalisks out now, so drops will be less of an issue. Jjakji does have some really nice production, though, and of course getting that factory up with a tech lab on it. I imagine this could be for drilling claws, but could potentially go for Thors or tanks. Thors are something that have become a little bit more common in recent days. Obviously not the go-to build, but you do see people incorporating them now. As far as map control goes, it's not looking too bad here for Paranoid either. I mean, he's got a lot of creep spread. That attack stung, but of course, let's check the workers killed. Almost none. 71 drones still standing, 4 bases. You know, it really looked like Jjakji. I wish he didn't chase the roaches, I think is the way how I feel that last engagement went. I think he could have come out way ahead. But of course, feeling he had the advantage, decided to press it. Coming up once again to this base, that scumbag Cliff. Coming into full effect once more. Marines, Marauders going to try and get around this. A couple of drone kills picked up here for free. I like the Widowmine positioning, by the way. This is going to be great to retreat back on top of, but a counterattack goes up while this is happening, and the production of Jjakji should be able to hold this. Lots of Widowmines, lots of Marines. Really not that big of a threat. Unfortunately, Paranoid loses this 4th base while this is going to go on. A single drop is segmented off to head towards the main. Of course, he doesn't want to doom drop as he risks losing everything to the Mutalisks, but still a lot of Widowmines left, armed and ready to fight. So Jjakji can still retreat up this hill. 5 Widowmines can do a lot of damage, guys, but decides to pull back entirely. Saying, I've done enough damage. Drop of the main is going to be a bit of a nuisance, but that's about it. It might kill a drone or two, but realistically, it gets cleaned up pretty much immediately. I like the static defense out of Paranoid. You don't see a lot of players do this. They get so confident with their control, they don't bother doing it. But hey, it's a very small investment for what could possibly ward off an attack entirely. Poking forward here. This really nice, this really aggressive push here. Bailings start morphing in, but they're not quite done yet. Neither is, well, the Widowmines actually get those tunneling claws off, so they do burrow just in the nick of time here. Marauders do get behind the mineralized. It looks like Jjakji, once again, his forces perhaps a little too overwhelming for Paranoid to deal with. He held off the last attack. Can he do it again? Looks like that's not going to be the case, so the Bailings are completely killed off at this point, and Mutalisks are not big enough in number. Good game is going to be called, and Jjakji will take game 1 in this best of 3.